told Mr. President that without prejudice to whatever will be the decision of the party, which we shall all abide by, that if the party throws the ticket open or the zone to southern part of Nigeria, that I believe that with what I put in place in the past 6 years plus, that I will be running for presidency on the platform of APC. So I told him, and of course, he believes that whoever that wants to run for president of this country must have to consult widely and go to all the leaders, and we must do everything to remove ethnicity and our religion in our polity so that this country can grow. Let me also add that as the chairman of Southeast Governors Forum, that I support a political solution to our insecurity problems in the Southeast. And of course, I mentioned it to Mr. President. And so I believe strongly that Southeast, that proposing for political solution should be able to engage the federal government. After all, there's always what is called out of court settlement. But it's for, our people and, our brother Kanu to be willing, for us to truly engage so that we can find true peace in our region. Because the activities there, have destroyed a lot of the economy of Southeast. A lot of lives have been lost. And when we were shouting it that it wasn't going to benefit, because agitation shouldn't have gone that, way it did. Today, the matter has gone beyond them.
Welcome back. Well, yes, we're joined by His Excellency Dave Umahi, Governor of Ebonyi State and Chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Well, yeah, we know you went to the President to inform him of your intention to run to succeed him, as it were. But just a quick one, why is that really important, going to the President in the villa and telling him, do you want to contest? Because we know that there are other avenues where politicians can meet and discuss some of these things.
Chimbele, thank you very much, and good morning to you and your team. The issue wasn't just going to the President to ask him that I want to contest. There were so many other issues I actually went to discuss with Mr. President. This one was by the side.
Excellency?
Yeah, Chamberlain, can you hear me? So much echoes.
Yes, we can hear you, so we suspected that there might have been some channel noise. Can you still hear us?
I do hear you, but there is echo. It's speaking back to me. So
just give us a moment.
It's interrupting me.
Just one or two buttons, but we'll sort that out in just a couple of minutes, and that will be addressed. But yes, it was just trying to explain, because there are lots of questions concerning people who really don't understand why they all have to. It's like a pilgrimage, after the first one.
If you're someone that you believe in, faith and all that, it's you go to the place and you claim it as it were. So you wonder if that was the case. But it's good to know that he's just said that there were other issues. So we would like to properly understand the context, because that seems to be the trend, as you have said.
Well, as we're also rightly introducing, he's chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum. That hopefully is one of the issues that he raised with the president, because, I mean, for God's sake, with all of the issues that have been coming out around the Southeast, definitely some issues to be addressed. And you also heard him, you know, talking about the, just before we brought him on in this program, when he was at State House, some of the things that he was saying about the release of one of the Southeasterners, you know, with the federal government at this time. So that's one of the issues. But we cannot demonstrate the fact that it's election year. He is a governor, and most certainly there are so many issues to address with him.
Well, yeah, so let's get back to him. Your Excellency, can you hear us better now?
Yeah, I think I can. Like I said, Chamberlain, the echo is speaking back to me as I speak. It's difficult.
Okay, so we'll go to another break. Is this echoing now? Just checking.
Let me check.
If
Yeah,
it's not
still
now,
echoing.
it means
When
it's
I
okay.
speak, then, hello?
It is better now, is it?
What I'm saying,
Go ahead, please.
okay, you see, if I speak, then I have to wait because the echo is speaking back exactly what I said.
All right, I understand that. All right, just give us a moment. We'll go to break. We will be back. Welcome back. We're with His Excellency Dave Umahi, Governor of Ebonyi State and Chairman, Southeast Governors Forum. Your Excellency, many wonder that, yes, no matter how well you may have done in Ebonyi State, it's a small state, with due respect, and they wonder, so why do you think that you can govern Nigeria by vying for the office of the president?
Well, Chamberlain, thank you very much. But let me answer the first question. You said, you know, did I just go to see Mr. President only to tell him that I needed to contest for the seat of presidency? And the answer is no. I went there to discuss about the visit of Mr. President in March, and also discuss about political solution to our insecurity in Southeast, and also our airport project, to let him know that our airport project is going to be ready by May 2022, but we needed some financial assistance to buy the equipment.
Okay.
So the issue of running was by the side, and it was the last thing that I mentioned to him as the father of the nation and the father of our party.
What did he say to you?
He said to me what he said to other people.
Did he tell you that that's what he told other people?
Because I've listened to other people who said what he told them, so it's exactly what he told me.
Well, Your Excellency, your eventual announcement came 24 hours after the national leader of the APC also met with the president on that same issue, saying he went to discuss his ambition. So you come in 24 hours. A lot of people thought, okay, maybe that was a sign of respect to the national leader, saying, you go first, then I'll come after. Then is there a timetable for these things, really? Was that pre-planned, or it just happened?
I think it just happened because when revered, you know, Asiwaju got his appointment, I didn't know. And when I sought for my own appointment, I'm sure he didn't know. So I can say it was coincidence.
Okay, but you didn't tell us what he told you. You assumed that that's what he told other people. Did those other people tell you what he told them, for instance?
Other people told you, Chamberlain, and other media people, what he told them. And so I listened to them, and I can compare and see exactly that what he told them is what he told me.
Okay, well, I assume that you've told Nigerians by telling the president, because Nigerians now know that you want to vie for that position. So why do you think Nigerians will accept you to be president?
I needed to accept my first. I needed to get conviction that I can do the job. And you say my state is a small state. Nigeria is going to develop by developing every small part of Nigeria. And so if what God has done in Ebonyi State within 6 years plus could be replicated through the works of my hands in other parts of Nigeria, I think Nigeria that we dream of will come to be.
But, you know, Your Excellency, you also talked about the challenges that you face in the state and in the southeast, and those are the existing challenges. And also, some of the leaders who are indicating their intention, as you may have seen in some of the other dailies, people think, look, we need new faces, new ideas. So, to that extent, do you think that you've got new ideas, haven't been there? Because people will say, look, we've seen what you've done, but they still wonder if they can go with you as president.
Well, my position is to expose what I've done. My position is to be convinced within myself that I can do the job. My position is to believe that God is interested in me. And the rest is up to the people to make their choice.
Well, one other question. We'll come to that, Your Excellency, to follow up on that particular one. But the issue that comes to mind for me, listening to you, is, well, one of the issues. Why should Nigerians trust the APC further, given the plethora of complaints that have, you know, trailed the government of the APC at the center? Why should anyone want to say, I mean, we want to continue to have an APC government govern us at the federal center, at the center of federal government?
What kind of complaints do you talk about?
Your Excellency, you know it all.
There is no complaint that is coming out right now that has not been the same since PDP took over. So it's the issue of if it is economy, you have to, you know, analyze the economy and find out whether the economy is growing or not. But let me complain, Chamberlain, that the problem with your studio is still not solved, you know, and it makes my contribution very difficult.
Well, first, we need to apologize for that, and I mean, appreciate you for, in spite of that, and still responding to our question. So we'll take a quick break again to resolve that. Perhaps something is still open in one of the faders. So please give us a minute. We'll fix that and come back to you so we can have a robust conversation, because this is a big deal, and Nigerians are really thirsting to hear what you have in store. So please stay with us, and we'll be back.
Your Excellency, we're going to go again, which we always do, hoping that it's not going to be one of those days. But then we did ask you that, what is it that you're going to do differently as president that will make any difference given the situation the country is in now?
Well, we are in a nation faced with a lot of insecurity challenges, you know, the economic issues, you know, there is, you know, this corruption issue and unpatriotic acts, but, you know, by some of we leaders. And I think that all of them are tied together. And so you must start as Mr. President by engaging. And you asked me about the complaints of the society against APC government. But the question is, all this that I've mentioned, have they not been there before Mr. President took over? And so when you have a system that is already collapsed, and you're making your efforts, and people have a very high expectation, and very, the spirit of suspicion, against all leaders, it's very difficult to appreciate the efforts being made and the successes achieved. So I think that is by engaging.
Go ahead, please.
We have to engage ourselves. We have to engage ourselves. And like I said in some of other discussions, we have to decide as a nation whether we need to rescue this nation by making some sacrifices. If we can kill corruption in this country to a very large extent, then the issue of insecurity, the issue of economic growth, they will receive very good attention, and this country will become great again.
So what exactly, okay, there are a couple of things that you spoke about in terms of the engagement and sacrifices, but if you could speak to us about those issues, what specifically do you mean by engagement and the sacrifices?
Well, you see, in this country, I find it, very funny for people at certain age in this country that are still, fighting so hard, for money. I thought that at a certain age that we should be making efforts to reconcile with God and be grateful to Him for the opportunities given to us. So it is important that we begin to engage, to say, look, even if you're successful and your children are not successful, you are not successful. So we begin to let people know the true meaning of life. Nobody goes to the grave with this money, but it's your legacies that will speak for you, speak for your children, and for your generation. So this is the kind of engagement that we need to do so that people will understand that everything is not about money, and that every position given to us by God as leaders, God will ask us for accountability, of what we did with such positions.
So our viewers can properly understand the context in which you speak, Governor. What do you mean by, those people who you say are still concerned about money? It's hard to actually understand that context. So if you could shed more light on that so people can properly understand.
What I mean is that in this country, there is no age limit by which we can say we have retired. We tend to be pursuing money till the end of our, stay on earth in Nigeria. That's what I mean.
To eliminate some of the, ideas that might be coming up or get you to confirm them. So are you saying that perhaps there should be an age limit to people vying for those positions such that, okay, if you're at this certain age, then what we should be concerned with is not, this kind of position, but providing another sort of, leadership in another area. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not just talking about political leadership, no. Generally, at certain age, if you are in commerce, for example, you're a businessman, you have companies. At a certain age in your life, you should be able to say, look, I need to retire and then give opportunities for your children. That's what I'm saying. It cuts across all, sphere of life.
So is there currently anyone running that you think this person should retire and allow the children, as you referenced, to step up? Is there anyone you have seen so far?
Not in my mind at all.
Right. Earlier on, you talked about some of the things that were in the previous administration that are still there now. And I'd like you to specifically mention those things because, there are various examples of how things have changed over time. In terms of security, for example. At that time, there weren't talks about banditry and kidnapping on such a high scale and consistently. One of the dailies used to have this countdown of various schools that children had been kidnapped. So that was not there. In terms of unemployment, it's now 33.3%. That was not the case then. And there are various examples that will be cited. So what are those things in particular which you say were present then and are still present now, that things have not changed?
Well, there's this saying that says that everything has life, has the tendency to grow. the seed of corruption was sown in this country and it was growing. And so you cannot say to what extent it will grow. And corruption is the business of everybody. Fighting it is the business of everybody. If Mr. President, gets his allocation and he has good intention to build a way, to build roads, to build other utilities, and such intentions are compromised, down the line, how will Mr. President be accountable? I can tell you that, before Mr. President came to power, we already had this issue of, cheatings in primary schools. Cheatings, what they call expo, So it's a corruption seed that was sown for a very long time. The same thing with insecurity. But what we needed to do as a nation is to find out what Mr. President has done, fighting these evil seeds that were sown in the past. And I think that Mr. President has done appreciable very, very well, in fighting corruption. He has no brother or sister or party man, in fighting corruption. And I praise his courage. In terms of economy, he has also done tremendously very well. Because I can take Ebonyi State, for example. What do we have from the federal government, from right now that we didn't have before? And so for me, it is the indices that, we count and measure, because I know such are also replicated in the various states and at the federal level. So I think the APC government is being demarketed very badly, and her members are not helping matters, because if you do not say what you have done, nobody is going to say what you have done.
Well, Your Excellency, staying with this issue of corruption that you talked about, there are a number of, if we go to, thankfully Twitter is back now. If you go, at least just type in corruption in Nigeria on Twitter, I'm pretty sure you're going to find some things that negate quite a number of things that you have said now, especially in the fight against corruption. There are those who are saying, isn't it the job of anyone who takes the job that you are vying for now to ensure that the system works effectively and sustainably to checkmate these actions of corruption, as opposed to what we have on our hands now? It is one thing to have the report of what Mr. President is doing. It's another thing entirely to have that experience. So given that, would you say that we have what it takes as a nation, starting from the presidency, to fight this corruption? And how seriously are we at fighting it? How seriously are we fighting it?
Yeah, that's why I say that it is, important to evaluate the method we have deployed so far, and judge whether we should not deploy other methods in fighting this corruption. And I think that engagement is very important. What we leaders come to the television, and even known leaders and even the masses come to tell you, for me, it doesn't represent the truth, The truth is between us and God, what we do with the resources that God, gave to us, to develop the people. You could be very corrupt and you come to the pages of newspapers and, be hiding and be criticizing Mr. President. That is not the truth. The truth is that we need to engage, because corruption in this country has gone beyond what the ordinary man even knows about. And that's why leaders in this country, whatever efforts you're making, to be different is not appreciated. The society believes that every leader in this country is a thief, but that's not totally true.
Well, changing that perception would probably have to depend on what those leaders themselves do and how they comport themselves. But when you talk about the need to engage who and by whom?
We start by engaging the media. There must be self-assessment, because just like Joseph told his brothers in the Bible, he said that God has sent me to prepare the future for you. We have to know very well that everything we do, whether you are in leadership position or you are being led, that we account for what you have, done. And so for me, there must be self-assessment. There must be a point that we as a country must sit together and say, do we begin to do things rightly? You know, when anything comes before you, you will always ask, what is there for me?
So what would you do about corruption that has not been done before?
You see, we need to strengthen our compromised and weak institutions. And that's by engaging. You know, you cannot tell me that, you know, every National Assembly member, you know, is free of corruption, that every governor is free of corruption, that the media houses, they are free of corruption, that the judiciary. So you need to engage. And there is only one agenda that you will bring to the table. Do we agree to kill corruption and move this country forward? Do we agree to secure future for our children? This is very important. And if it is the general consensus, all cards must be up, you know. And I believe strongly that when you do this kind of engagement, and the masses, the nation Nigeria, they see that you are not corrupt, and you are treating everybody with the same template, I think things will begin to move. I believe so strongly.
So if you say we can't tell you that every governor is free of corruption, are you free of corruption?
You judge yourself, Chamberlain.
No, I'm not a governor. You are the governor. You said, I can't tell you that every governor is free of corruption. So that's why I ask, are you free of corruption?
Chamberlain, are you also free of corruption? Because I say the media houses too. So it is self-assessment, and so it is not correct for me to just believe that, you know, we are angels. So everybody is involved, one way or the other, and we should all sit down together to look at this matter.
Well, Your Excellency, you want to be president, and Nigerians are watching and listening to you, so if they see that you're dodging the question, don't you think that would be a negative signal that you won't answer the questions so that they can understand your thinking or where your mind is about corruption?
You want me to answer it the way you want, or I should answer it the way I feel? I'm answering it the way I feel, and it is wrong, Chamberlain, for me to say that we have weak institutions and then we exonerate, you know, one sector of the society. No. It is for all the institutions to do self, you know, assessment and come to the table, and we say, yes, we want to, you know, rebuild this nation. This is very important.
Your Excellency, I'd like to know if you feel threatened by the defection of some other governors from the PDP to the APC.
Threatened? I feel happy rather than being threatened.
I'm asking that in the light of your ambition. Do you think that it threatens your ambition in any way? Because some people will say that perhaps some of these other governors who are defecting to your party as well also are nursing the ambition to be president. Do you think in any way it threatens your own ambition?
Not at all. You know very well that my ambition is in the hand of God. And one thing we do not know, and I continue to quote, is that by strength shall no man prevail. Power and might belong to God, but human beings say first tend to negate that. So the more we have more governors into APC, the more chances we have, you know, to win the election and to also continue the project of Mr. President, the project of Nigeria, from where Mr. President will stop by 2023.
I do not know if you've seen the papers for today, but on the front page of New Telegraph, we have the story, how PDP plans to exploit defection cases against APC. That's according to their own internal investigation. It's talking about South-South Governors Connection, and your name is mentioned here on the front page, Ayade, Umahi, Matawale, endangered. Do you fear any endangerment as a result of whatever cases the PDP might institute against governors like yourself who have defected from their ranks into the APC?
Well, the matter is already in court. I have no fear, but one thing I know very well is that I know the conditions upon which a governor, elected governor, can leave, his seat. Is by death, is by impeachment, is by resignation. And so our constitution has not specified, any other condition upon which an elected governor can vacate his seat. So it's a judicial process, and we test it in line with the Constitution.
Okay, we'll see how that, eventually pans out. But as we get into the year, we understand that your party, the new party which you've joined, is finding it very difficult to organize a convention in February. Today is February, beg your pardon, we're in January now. Let me see now. Today is the 17th of January, and as we speak, a date is yet to be picked in February for the convention which had been planned since last year. Are you worried about that?
Not at all. February remains February from the meeting we had yesterday, and from what Mr. President told the nation after the chairman of Caretaker met with him. So nobody is going beyond February from the meeting we had yesterday. But it's not for us to announce, it's for the working committee to announce.
All right. Let me just come in now, Your Excellency. So there's always a talk about the year before election. We'll usually witness a lull in governance proper as the political actors focus on the election. And I mean, that's been the fear. In fact, people say that the term of a governor or president essentially is not 4 years that you think. It's perhaps between 2 and 3 years. So how are you going to juggle this together? You have governance in Ebonyi State, which is, I mean, your major priority. And then you have this goal that you're trying to reach with the presidency. How would you do it that one will not affect the other, but the more important one will not be affected?
Well, for me, the most important one is the first calling, the first assignment that God gave to me, which is Ebonyi project. And if God sees that I've done this very well and I'm faithful, then God will enthrone me for the second assignment. But let me say that from the airport, anytime I travel, I go straight to my project site. I'm in full control of all my projects. I'm in full control of my programs. And I've made it very much known to the stakeholders of Ebonyi State that there is no amount of vying for presidency that is going to affect the Ebonyi project. I know it is an added responsibility and, will be more challenging. But if God calls you, he will equip you. So I think we are in total control of the development of our state.
So will it be fair, as we wind down, those asking that if you're vying for such position, maybe you should step aside so you can focus on the campaigning, which is going to be very rigorous. Is that a fair proposition?
Well, I do not know. But honestly, I'm worried about the election year. Generally, it's a lot of distractions. And if you look at the monarchic, countries, you find out there is much more stability, there is much more development. Because even when you don't care as a governor, the society will care for you. They will roll out drums for you. They will tell you you're the best and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of distractions, But I won't advocate for elected governor to resign because it's not in line with our constitution. And if you prefer that to happen, then you have to now do another town hall meeting where Nigerians will have to speak their minds.
So if this is not zoned to the southeast, will you be going for the Senate?
My future is in the hand of God. So, and it is taking such decisions now is also distracting.
So are we sure that we're not going to hear tomorrow you saying, well, my people have said I should go for Senate? Won't that happen tomorrow?
We have a project in our hand, and God has not given me two projects, you know. I'm at peace with contesting for the presidency of this country. And so there is nothing else that is in my mind, and there's nothing else in the mind of my people. And so we have to get to the end of this. God is leading us. So if we get there and God changes his mind and says, okay, you do this, we are all pursuing the hands of God.
All right, then, His Excellency Dave Umahi, Governor of Ebonyi State and Chairman, Southeast Governors Forum, thank you very much indeed for your time today.